Hi, my dear Astro family. Today we are going to be looking at the upcoming lunation taking place on the 30th of December, and it's happening on 9 degree of Capricorn. I hope you all had a beautiful Christmas, a lot of cakes and good food, and most importantly, in all good spirits. So let's break it down. What is going to be happening with this full moon? This is an interesting one because it doesn't necessarily make any major aspects. So we've got the two luminaries that are kind of like connecting with each other. We've got an aspect to an asteroid called Pallas Athena. But other than that, it doesn't make any major aspects. It doesn't mean, though, that this lunation is not necessarily important because the dispositor of this lunation, Saturn, which is actually in an ongoing square with Jupiter. I am going to be making a separate video on Sunday about the Saturn-Jupiter square with Sweaty, and we are going to be breaking that down for the 12 signs as well, because this is an ongoing theme and it is lasting till about July 2025. So we decided to kind of do a video together on that for you. So if you want to tune in, go ahead. We might even go live actually. 11 o'clock on Sunday, Budapest, Hungary time. And you've got 2 more days if you want to book a reading with me. Every reading, courses, and webinars are on 50% off now. This was a special gift for Christmas from me to you. So if you would like to have a reading with me, then go ahead. Unfortunately, I only have got availabilities now in February and March, pretty much. Okay, so we've got a new moon happening in the sign of Capricorn. And obviously, we are right at the end of the year. So this is about setting intentions, new moon, planting the seeds. And obviously, Capricorn is the sign of what? Long-term goals. It's our achievements. So maybe we want to be doing a bit of a manifestation around New Year Eve resolutions and so on. So a new moon is always an ideal time to plant the seeds, to kind of start fresh something. And because Capricorn is the sign of maturity, responsibility, productivity, achievements, goals, and so forth, you might want to be locating the Capricorn part of your chart and then setting intentions according to that house theme. So, for example, Capricorn is in my 11th house, so I might need to be setting goals when it comes to connected to my long-term goals, as well as what type of people I connect with, and maybe I should be making some type of actions about collaborations and so on. This is about coming up with a plan and then making it happen. Now, as mentioned before, this new moon is exact on the 30th of December. And a new moon is always about when the sun and the moon are in the same sign, in the same degree, on the same degree. So that's what we call as a new moon. And the new beginning is always something that might become quite scary, though, because often in earth elements, we need to be able to get out of our comfort zone. And it feels like this is one of the reasons why this new moon is actually out of bound. So, what is an out of bound planet? An out of bound planet acts like a Uranian flavor. So, because Uranus is kind of like in the sign of Taurus still, it really feels like that it is trying to get you out of your comfort zone. And earth signs are always about building. So building towards a future. I mean, imagine Capricorn as the mountain climber. You know, if you want to survive, you have to have the plan. You have to have kind of like a mastery and starting with these little rocks and then, kind of like targeting to go higher and higher. So definitely there is a lot of discipline, a lot of strength coming in, but you also need the resources. You need to be ambitious, and in a way, you need to be daring as well. Now, the daring quality really comes from the fact that Capricorn is a cardinal sign. And the cardinality is always about pretty much pushing the gas pedal to move forward. But Capricorn, what it has done already, that it mastered the self and it knows that it takes time. So often, there is this saying, a stitch in the, what's the saying again? Hold on, my brain went blank. Yeah, a stitch in time saves nine, right? So a stitch in time saves nine, which pretty much indicates that we have to make the effort and we need to put the work in. And then maybe we need just to come up with the small things. Now, as mentioned at the beginning of the video, that this lunation is actually in conjunction to Pallas Athene. And Pallas Athene is about the battle plan. It's about spotting patterns. So we need to be able to see the patterns. We need to be able to see what the right plan is, because Pallas Athene is about a win-win type of situation. So she never ever lost a battle because she always was pretty meticulous and coming up with the greatest plan ever. So it leads to her, it leads her to a certain type of victory. So it really feels like that this saying is just really, really cool with that. Also, this is telling us that we need to have a practical type of focus. We need to have a very smart goal. And the smart kind of like means that it has to be specific, it has to be measurable, attainable, relevant as well. And also, we might want to give ourselves a time frame as well. So, for example, this is what I'm going to be doing in the next 1 year. And this new moon should be brilliant. So if it's happening in your sixth house, for example, you might want to be doing this long-term planning around your diet, around how you are going to be slowly but surely changing your attitude towards health and so forth. This is telling us to use our common sense. This is telling us to be committed to something. That is telling us to look into the mirror and see whether we have grown up and whether we are responsible in that particular area of your life. I think this lunation is giving you the chance to kind of like create order in your life as well. But watch out, because this moon is out of bound. So the out of bound can bring unpredictability, can bring a bit of a chaos. So it's kind of like trying to um, eliminate the chaos in our lives. This is how it really feels like. Have that solid plan, have kind of like, kind of set the stage for success. But also, Capricorn represents our fears as well. So, are you afraid of failure? And maybe this is the reason why you are reluctant to move towards something new. Of course, also, it would talk to you about your boundaries as well. Capricorn is the sign of boundaries as well as rules. So maybe an out of bound planet have got the desire to break free from something. Maybe you want to be breaking free from any type of chaos, or you want to break free from worry, or you want to be breaking away from a relationship, for example, and so on. So it's very important that we all have got the boundaries, how much I am tolerating, for example, certain type of situations at work. This is the sign of mastery. This is about tangible results. So when we put the work into something, eventually it is going to be bringing you what you need to be able to be successful. But often Capricorn is a feminine sign, so it could indicate that we do a lot of internal work with that as well. We do a lot of reflection, and maybe we step back a little bit to redefine our career goals, for example. So, of course, we are at the end of the year, so it could be brilliant to kind of stop for a second, to have a bit of a celebration, and then after putting the work in. So some of the questions that I would be asking with this lunation is that, Are there any areas in your life where you might potentially avoid being responsible for something? Or do you have dreams? Because the dispositor Saturn is in the sign of Pisces, and Pisces is as a very dreamy, it has got, an idealistic world in their own head. So to be sure that you have got your dreams quite grounded or your dreams are quite realistic as well as relevant as well. And then are you ready to move towards it? But also maybe because we've got this Jupiter and Saturn square, which I'm going to be breaking down for you briefly in this video as well. But are you resisting the growth, or are there any certain type of growing pain there that is holding you back? So the fear of growth, both planets, Saturn and Jupiter represent the growth, but they are a little bit different. Jupiter is the fear for not being able to create more, and Saturn is the fear of not being able to create enough, for example. So, what if I'm going to be jumping into this situation and then it's not going to be giving me enough money? And then with Jupiter, I'm jumping into this situation, but what if I'm not going to be having 250 orders, for example? So hopefully that example is kind of like showing you how the two planets are connected to fear to certain level. You might want to be looking at whether you have got the fears or somehow you limiting yourself. Maybe you want to be concentrating on how to create stability in your life. And there could be a lot of yearning with Saturn in the sign of Pisces. Yearning to be free, yearning to have stability, yearning to have success in our lives. So this could be even a period of time when you reflect on what I have achieved so far. And then it might be leaving you quite depressed, or it might motivate you to actually move forward. Also, Saturnian signs are to a certain extent an indication of balance because Saturn is the exalted ruler of Libra as well. So this is telling us that, okay, we're going to be very disciplined, but at the same time, with Saturn in the sign of Pisces represents that some of our goals also needs to be left behind as well. But we need that structure there. We need to kind of like practice certain type of habits, which is going to be supporting your own dreams and goals and so forth. And there is a lot of spiritual energy involved here with this lunation as well, because Saturn is in the sign of Pisces. And you might believe that Saturn is not the most spiritual planet, but it actually, in traditional astrology or ancient astrology, it was considered to be a very spiritual planet. One of the reasons is because Saturn is being in the sign or having a planetary joy in the 12th house. Maybe I'm going to be making a lecture about the spiritual side of Saturn, because surely it could be pretty fun. Now, as I mentioned before, we've got Pallas Athene in the picture. And Pallas Athene is the win-win situation. This is the representation of kind of like contractual agreements as well to a certain extent. She is a protector. So she is protecting something. So the question is, are you protecting your own fears or are you actually protecting your own dreams? Are you coming up with certain type of plans for setting yourself up for winning, or are you actually setting up for failure? Look at Pallas Athene as the asteroid of integration. So, what would be very important here is that there is a lot of wisdom which comes in maturity, and we need to be able to integrate our emotions as well as our wants and goals into one. And then it gives you a unique skill. It gives you the skill to analyze people. It also tells you, though, that there is a very much like a need to be able to trust your own instincts, as well as you need to be able to trust your own skills as well. Pallas Athene is a very strong sense of right or wrong as well. So she was all about going into a battle only if it's really necessary. Otherwise, let's do a lot of negotiations. And it's very interesting that we've got the two social planets involved here, Saturn and Jupiter, which is also talking to us about what's right and wrong as well. So, of course, Pallas Athene has got this very strong sense of kind of like moral codes when it comes to like security matters or children or work-related situations and so forth. So, this could be giving you the feeling like, oh, I don't like the way, for example, my children are treated at school. I don't like the way how I am treated at work, and so forth. So wherever, because the moon is, of course, when you think about a new moon, is often about a home life, your inner security, your children. But in the sign of Capricorn, do I feel at home when it comes to, for example, my workplace? Also, Pallas Athene could represent, for me at least, apart from strategy and wisdom, but often it represents astrology as well, because that's about pattern recognition also. So maybe this could talk to you about you wanting to be exploring a little bit more the spiritual side of your existence. There is Pallas Athene is the system. So it looks like you have to be creating a system that is going to be working for you. And then when you think about the Pallas Athene, which was a goddess, of course, and then she was born from the head of Zeus, which is actually Jupiter. So it really looks like with this Saturn and Jupiter square, we've got this kind of like reality and the dreams, and they are clashing. So obviously the Capricorn energy is the reality, but Saturn is being in the sign of Pisces, which is about dreams, and then Saturn and Jupiter are actually squaring. And what Pallas Athene wants, it wants to come up with a creative solution to things. And sometimes, yeah, it comes with a bit of a war, but also Pallas represents healing and arts and certain type of crafts as well. I would also call it as kind of like an apprenticeship program. So often Pallas Athene is said that somehow we need to bring together the Aquarius, the Libra, the Capricorn parts of our chart, and then that's how it functions in the bestest possible way. Now, as mentioned, we've got this Jupiter retrograde squaring Saturn. So this is the second out of the three squares that are going to be happening. So we've got the planet of expansion having a tension with the planet of restriction. So it looks like that we are focusing quite a lot on expanding somehow, but Jupiter is retrograde. So it's very possible that we are kind of like reviewing how much we have expanded in the past and then how we can actually move forward. It's kind of like coming up with a business analysis, really, with this Pallas Athene mixture as well. Looking at, okay, you know what? This is the strategy we used and it worked, it hasn't worked, so let's do some kind of like alteration on that. With Saturn and Jupiter square, which took place the very first one around August 19th, but pretty much we felt it from about 28th of July onwards. So you might need to be revisiting some of the beliefs or things that we've been promised to you, or you might need to be revisiting the knowledge that you gained since about July, August onwards. And then now you need to have the idea of what to leave behind. Leaving behind comes from the fact that Saturn is actually in the sign of Pisces, and Pisces represents closure. Maybe you have been a little bit scattered with certain type of choices you made. So this Pallas Athene is pretty much a reminder, let's reorganize our life a little bit. Let's streamline certain type of things. Saturn is telling you that it's great to have a vision, of course, but Jupiter might be giving you plenty of ideas. So we need to be able to ground those. And this is, as I mentioned before, this is the second square between them two. We're going to be having one more in June, but it's already happening in the Cancer Aries sign on 0 degrees somehow. So maybe you revisiting something now, and then the solution, the final solution is going to be coming to you, or the resolution is going to be coming to you only in June, July next year. But there is a lot more to mention about this Jupiter and Saturn square. Oh, by the way, the second one got exact on the 24th of December, by the way. Now, let's look at it. So Saturn tells you to see things clearly, see your vision clearly. By the way, this is an opening square. Opening squares are often about uh, working through inner insecurities or family related things or building foundations. We also call it as kind of like a crisis situation happening where adjustments are needed. So then when the opposition happens, actually we can reap what we sow. And with Saturn, we test things. So it looks like that your visions are tested. Your knowledge is tested. How much we have learned, for example, or do we have the right knowledge? Or do we actually put our knowledge into practice? Or is it the right knowledge what we have, or maybe it needs to be discarded? Or is our belief system pretty realistic, or is there anyone who is kind of like restricting our imaginations or restricting our belief system? Someone who might not be listening uh, to our opinions, for example. Saturn and Jupiter cycles are always about businesses. So it really feels like this is a business, okay? A business chart. And you might also want to be revisiting what happened in 2020 December, 2021, 2020 September till about 2021 February, because that is the time when this Jupiter and Saturn conjunction took place. So this is where we're going to have to be making certain type of changes. And often we need to make a choice with a square. So let's say you started two projects in 2020 December, let's say, and then you have to be making a choice which one I'm going to be growing further and which one I'm going to be leaving behind. It's also coming up with the idea of having to work on your inner growth. It's also telling you to review whether you believe in yourself or not. Do you have kind of like the vision that you can create and give birth to something? Can you imagine yourself climbing that mountain, to be on the top of the mountain? If not, then this lunation is asking you to work through your own fears first. So what the challenge is here, that we still have got this ongoing T-square as well, because Mercury is in an opposition to Jupiter, and then it's still squaring Saturn. So this is telling us that we might not have enough knowledge, for example, going on, or we need to be just trying to connect the dots, or it is even telling you that you need to be gathering more information and you need to become a little bit more analytical. Now, by the way, the Jupiter and Mercury final opposition is taking place on the 26th of December, while the square to Saturn is happening on the 27th of December. So it really feels like that Mercury in the sign of Sagittarius is collecting all the information so we can kind of put the puzzle together and then we can see the bigger picture. Uh, Mercury is kind of like the planet of seeing. So it is telling you to see whether what you believe and what you have are actually aligned somehow. This is telling you to look at the truth from multiple angles. This is telling you to use your common sense, whether, kind of like what you have been presented is actually true or not, or even it is telling you to ask more questions. So obviously that is prompting us to gather more information. And then you can collect more information, for example, at work. and so on about this. Let's say you are ready to sign a contractual agreement, and it is telling you to ask more specific questions so that there is no kind of like shock and surprise coming with it. The problem potentially with Jupiter being in the sign of Gemini, dual signs, that it looks like there is a duality going on. So sometimes I feel very optimistic, sometimes I feel pessimistic, or potentially even it can indicate that you have got multiple opinions or multiple choices, and I do not know which one to go with. And this is the reason why Saturn kind of slows us down. So it really feels like that many of us with this lunation is going to be making a quite a big choice. So, guys, this would be the general um, kind of like energy pattern of this upcoming new moon. So now let's break it down very briefly to all 12 signs. So let's start with Aries rising sign. So dear Aries, for you, the new moon is happening in the 10th house, which is the house of reputation, accomplishments, career, goals, your own legacy, and so forth. So this could indicate that, for example, you are ready to work towards a promotion. You are ready to gain more influence somehow. You are ready to move forward in your professional life. Maybe you want to be actually starting a new work. Maybe you are actually ready to invest into your business. It could all, but definitely Pallas and Saturn tells you that it's going to be very important that you are looking at your business plan, that you are looking at your vision, and you want to be a little bit more realistic with your career goals. This is also telling you potentially that you might not want to be kind of like focusing on what other people need, what other people think of me, and so forth. But you are going to be actually focusing solely on your own goals and achievements. So there is a little bit like an egotistical side coming with this. And this is also echoed by the Pluto and Mars opposition as well. Maybe what you want to be focusing on is just to kind of looking at some business patterns or even certain type of toxic relationships at work. And then how you can break out of this, how you can move away from this, but also what my ambitions are. So this is telling you to focus on your long-term ambitions. Maybe actually you want to be taking charge somehow, or maybe you want to be eliminating certain type of power struggles, for example. So this is also telling you that it would be very important that you have got clear goals, clearly communicating them to those, and then if needed, you are going to be disciplining, for example, those will go against certain type of rules. This is about setting setting the tone for 2025. So let's say that this is what I'm going to be achieving in 2025. So this is ideal time for you to kind of come up with some new year resolution, for example. And maybe you have been waiting for a time to be able to be recognized for something or to become a leader of certain ways, so in certain areas. So this would be an ideal time somehow to let your fears go and to take action on them. Okay, let's have a look at what is happening for you, Taurus rising sign. So this is going to be activating your ninth house, and the ninth house is connected to travel, education, your experiences, opportunities, your philosophies, for example, and having certain type of conversations with others. So it looks like you have got the opportunity to plant the seeds around your belief system. You have got the opportunity to expand your horizon. This is also telling you that, yes, potentially we need to be walking away from certain type of limitations or fears, such as you have got the fear of being judged by others if you share certain type of belief system of yours, or you are kind of like putting your opinion out there, or even the fear of connecting with your audience. So this is telling you now to come up with a plan and learn to kind of embrace that one criticism is not destroying the thousand love that you receive from others. So that would be one of the major focus for you, it looks like it. But it is also telling you that be careful about how much information you share with others. This is telling you to be honest, have those conversations with integrity and seriousness as well with whoever you want to be having certain type of conversations with. And also, this is telling you slowly but surely expand your horizon and welcome new ideas into your life as well. Maybe you want to be thinking about, okay, this is what I want to learn. This is what I want to be exploring in the upcoming year, whether it's connected to travel and these are the three countries that I want to be visiting, but also what type of opportunities do I have and what is the personal growth that I'm going to be growing through. And then we need to be able to commit to it. But a balance is going to be very important here. So watch out because you can have multiple ideas, you can have big ideas, and then Saturn says that great, have all those, but be patient as well and approach your ideas and dreams in a practical manner. Okay, let's have a look at what is happening with Gemini rising sign. So this is taking place in your eighth house. So it looks like you're going to have to be creating stronger bonds, that the bond needs to have a foundation. Trust needs to be gained, and trust is not earned that easily, right? So we're going to go step by step towards it. But, often we just think that we need to be able to trust others. And that's not entirely the truth. I think we need to be able to trust ourselves as well. So it really tells us that we need to be kind of like examining our how's it called, our inner psychological makeup as well. Where does that bond or where does that trust issue originate from? So looking at your shadow selves during this lunation could be particularly important, and expecting that or embracing the fact that, what, we all have got the bad sides and we all wake up on the wrong or the right side of the bed as well, time to time, and that is okay. This could indicate that there is a lot of fear, a fear around rejection, or there might be potentially a lot of repressed anger within you as well. Or you have got certain type of issues going on in the intimacy department, or you have got a lot going on, like a lot of obligations, or even financial worries as well. So maybe what you are scared of is that, oh, I'm not going to be going towards my dreams because what if I'm going to be messing up? So what was the very first moment that got messed up in your life? You might want to be actually revisiting that. Also, the eighth house is shared resources, debt, taxes, and with Pallas Athene, this is telling you to have a financial plan. So if there are certain type of issues around money, or even kind of like close relationship as well, then we need to be approaching that in a practical way, a little bit calmly or a lot more seriously. So we can create stability here by putting a break on our finances, for example, or I'm going to be able to say no to others, like, okay, I'm not supporting you, I'm not giving you more money, and so on. So reassessing your finances, and also maybe it's all about you wanting to collaborate with others, putting your money together with your partner's money, kind of like the shared resources, working towards a career goal. Cancer rising sign. So this is taking place in your seventh house. So it's time to rebuild your relationship. It is activating your one-to-one connections with others. So it looks like that, especially with that out of bound moon that we need to be able to bring a little bit more excitement into this relationship. Maybe we're going to be working on intimacy. Maybe we're going to be spending more romantic times together. But potentially, what could have been an issue is that someone is kind of like controlling or jealous, and then it feels like that there is this codependency situation going on in this relationship that we would like to break away from with this out of bound move. But also, this could indicate that uh, I am trying to go towards making these connections with others, but at the same time, I freeze down as well. So, shall I go and then initiate this relationship? Shall I not? Or is it worth actually fixing up the relationship, or do I need to walk away from it? So, this could be kind of like a decision making point in your life where you feel stuck and then you don't know what the right course of action is. And maybe that clarity is going to be coming through others. And sometimes it comes with compromising on something. It is telling you that it's time to think through how we can build a better partnership with others and whether potentially it's a professional relationship. But if we want to do that, we need to be able to create boundaries. We need to tell them clearly what my plan is. And basically, it's a contractual agreement based on trust and clarity. Let's have a look at Leo rising sign. So for you, Leo, the sixth house will get activated, which is about your daily routines, health, and lifestyle choices that you make. So maybe you have got a lot going on your plate, and then you're going to have to learn a bit of a time management here. Maybe it's something to do with overbearing schedule, and then you just need to put a better routine into your life, or it feels like life is a little bit heavy. I've got a lot of responsibilities, or maybe potentially you want to be starting kind of like a new well-being routine as well. But it tells you that you need to set very strong boundaries here. So you need to be able to say no to things. You need to realize that time is short or time is precious rather than kind of feeling like the time is limited. I don't have enough time for all these responsibilities. So there is an element of sharing, the need to share something. The reason why, because first of all, Saturn is in your eighth house, which is the house of sharing. The reminder here is to share responsibility, to share burden with others, and then the reward is going to be coming by the end of next year, potentially. Maybe you're gonna want to focus a little bit more on healthy situations, for example, at work or in mind or in the physical body as well. This is telling you that it's time to kind of like having new behaviors in your life. So getting rid of certain type of bad habits and replacing them with something new. But also it would talk to you about work and life balance as well. I mean, the sixth house is something to do with work, while the opposing sign, the 12th house, is something to do with rest as well. So we're going to have to be able to kind of balance these two out. And on top of that, this could be even an indication that you want to be creating more productivity, for example, at your workplace to your employees, or it's time to hire new employees, for example. Also, you can be like torn between work responsibilities as well as your personal goals. So which one to choose, how to kind of balance that out. Let's have a look at what is happening for Virgo rising sign. Dear Virgo, this is going to be taking place in your fifth house, which is the representation of your creativity, self-expression, but also something to do with hobbies, pleasure. So you might start working, for example, on a new project. You might meet someone new, or you might be taking on a new hobby. But also, this could be about choosing a goal or a career that you can pour your heart into. And that's the reason why it's the house of giving birth to creativity. But this means also that you need a lot of confidence here, right? So you're gonna have to start thinking about potentially some of the fears why you are not able to express yourself the way you want to, and then eliminating those. So this could be an exciting period for you. There could be certain type of luck on your side. It could indicate that the muses are coming back into your life, so you experience certain type of a creative uh, breakthrough as well. And not to mention, you might feel ready, for example, to be self-employed, or you might feel ready to give birth to a child, to kind of becoming a parent. But also, hopefully, if you are single, you are going to be ready to put yourself out there and to start a relationship with loads of fun as well. So enjoy. And let's move on to Libra rising sign. So dear Libra, this is going to be happening in your fourth house. And Libra, you also have got South Node in your sign as well. So this could indicate that it's time to let go of the past. It's time to do reflection on the past. And when it comes to why you have been a people pleaser, why you have not been able to kind of create that inner foundation, that inner happiness within yourself. You can become a lot more nostalgic. You can become, or you can focus a lot more on your memories. And you would do that because you want to go towards healing. Yes, this could be on a physical or material plane. This could even indicate that you are thinking about building a house, buying a land, creating your own um, home environment. But on top of that, even it could indicate that you want to start your own family. You want to move together with someone. You want to be actually relocating as well. But it looks like the past is holding you back. So it's time to kind of learn from them. It's time to create new habits because Saturn is actually in your sixth house. And then moving away from any type of pessimistic behavior, for example. And also, there could be power struggles going on, for example, at your work as well, which is upsetting you, or even in your personal relationship as well, actually. I would also say that because the fourth house is the foundation of everything, it's pretty much of planting the seeds. And then we've got a new moon happening here. This could highly talk to you about you planting the seeds for new career opportunities, for example. But also, there could be tension going on in your living situations. There could be some communicational breakdowns, for example. We are not on the same page. We are not on the same wavelength. And that could be leaving you emotionally restrained. So this could really talk to you about wanting to create a solid home environment or a solid emotional foundation. Good luck with that and see you soon. Let's move on to Scorpio rising sign. Dear Scorpio, your communication house will get triggered quite a lot. And this could indicate that you are making new connections. You are making maybe a progress towards putting yourself out there in the public, such as by creating a YouTube channel, an Instagram page, and so forth. Obviously, this would be because you would like to achieve something with it. So there's a goal around creating your own family from a work purpose point of view. But also maybe it's time to redefine the way we communicate, redefine the way we try to sell ourselves, what type of message we receive and we put out there. And maybe it's just time to reflect on your own personal goals. So, for example, you've been thinking about asking for a promotion. So, this is telling you to have the courage to actually start that conversation with someone, with that boss, for example. And it also indicates that you're going to have to be kind of like collecting all the data information to back up your reasoning behind that. But also, this could talk to you about that you are planning to be traveling a little bit more, for example, or you want to be changing the way you commute to work, or maybe you decide that you want to study something. So, for example, I'm going to be studying, I'm going to be kind of like going on a training which is going to be taking me further, or there is something else I can put on my CV. Now, the dispositor of this new moon is Saturn, hovering through your fifth house. So this could talk to you about having more of a serious conversation with your children about schooling or having to decide which school you want to send them to. Potentially, this could even indicate that you want to be having serious conversations, for example, with your boyfriend or girlfriend, whether we want to become more serious, are we ready to get engaged, and all those type of stuff. So good luck and see you soon. Let's have a look at Sagittarius rising sign. So Sagittarius, you with this full moon activate the second house, which is the house of possessions, the material world, but also your talent and your finances. So this could talk to you about that you want to start a new routine when it comes to your financial habits. So you're going to put a break on it, but also it could indicate that you want to be investing into your home and living circumstances, because the dispositor of this new moon is in the fourth house, which is the house of homes. So buying a house, selling a house, making money out of homes. Um, Even it can indicate that you want to be growing vegetables and stuff like that, for example, on a farm. But also at the same time, do you feel secure about your own talents? Is there a bit of a discovery to do about that? Or are you afraid of investing into a home, for example? Because this is an out of bound new, right? So there could be a little bit of an anxiousness around this as well. Also, this could talk to you about power struggles that might be happening at your work. It is due to the fact that you feel underpaid or you don't feel valued. And then it feels like you are working a lot, but the return is not as great. So it really feels like that this new moon wants you to set intentions around how to gain more confidence in your life. I think it could be exciting for you, but maybe you're going to have to be redefining your personal values. Maybe you have to be reassessing your income and your financial strategies. Capricorn rising sign, of course, this new moon is about you, right? So it is happening in your first house, which is your identity, the self. It looks like that maybe you coming up with certain type of strategies to change your life around. And maybe it is going to be happening because you feel Pluto kind of like leaving your sign, and then you are ready to kind of start fresh. So if you haven't managed to start fresh in the last couple of years, then this new moon might be pushing you towards that. If you haven't been able to build up a better confidence level or a better connection with your body, mind, and spirit, then this new moon is now giving you the opportunity to do that. And also, it invites you to put yourself out there in the world, for example, to become a better version of yourself, as well as to give birth to something. But there potentially might be some fears to face here. Maybe you are too worried about, oh, I'm going to get judged by others or what others are going to be thinking of me and all those type of things. Because this is an out of bound moon, and often that could show anxious type of energies. Maybe you don't want to upset anyone and so on. So it's time to focus on the self. It's time to become a little bit more egotistical. You have got the chance now to change things in your life radically, but we might have got some internal as well as external challenges that are holding you back. So set your intentions, focus on your long-term goals, focus on personal growth, and then it should be all good. Aquarius rising sign. Well, this is happening in your 12th house, which is the house of spirituality, the dream, but also it's the house of closure and healing as well. So potentially this could indicate that you need to be doing a lot of self-reflection, You need to be spending a little bit more time alone so that you can reflect on your life, to recharge the batteries, and then to get going. Maybe you've got some self-defeating behaviors. Maybe you're going to have to be examining your subconscious mind a little bit, kind of looking into the mirror, and then decide what type of strategies you want to be using to change your life around. Maybe you have been a little bit more kind of like depressed or avoiding solutions in your life. And then now it's coming to you to address them. New moon is about new beginnings. So it's about, to a certain extent, a possibility for you to make better connections with your karma, with your ancestry line, and maybe it's being about forgiving parents as well. But also, this could indicate that it's time to actually cut ties with your ancestry line when it comes to finances, because maybe I've grown up in a poor family and so forth. And then I need to be able to kind of walk away from that. The reason is because the dispositor of this new moon, Saturn, is in your second house. It's also a reminder that certain things in our life are outdated and they need to walk out of our life so we can replace them with something new. So try not to hold on to things. And last but not least, Pisces rising sign. So this is happening in your 11th house, which is the house of networking, friendship, a type of support we receive and we want, hopes and dreams, long-term goals. So this could indicate that you are going to be collaborating with others. You need someone to kind of help you move forward when it comes to your personal or professional goals, and there is nothing wrong with it. So if we decide to work with someone, then I would recommend that it's time to be productive with that person, doing things consistently, because the reward is going to be coming to you. Potentially, this could also indicate making new friendships as well. And also, this could indicate that there is this hope here that you're going to be able to move your life around a little bit. Also, maybe you want to be looking at whether you are surrounded by the right people. Also, remember that the dispositor of this new moon, Saturn, is in your third house. So this is definitely about putting yourself somehow out there so people can see you, people can see your talents. But often you need that help. Often you need that kind of like support, love, or a professional connection who are going to be helping you to become visible somehow. So putting yourself out there is one of the goals that I would recommend to you. So, guys, this is the new moon energy in the sign of Capricorn with a breakdown for the 12 signs. From now on, I will be making breakdowns for all 12 signs when it comes to the new moons and the full moons. I hope it helps, and thank you for being here. Happy New Year, and I will see you soon. Take care. Bye bye.